I won't be together.
Straight natural. When you catch the dude eating that Vittles.
Vittles.
I see you got the old side, the Q.
Urban steak's good too.
Oh, you eating steak? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another exciting episode of Meet the. I know y'all think it's a Troy the Foodie show because my man D Green is greasing right now, but it's all good. This brother, we don't always see each other, but I consider him a friend. He a hardworking brother in this entertainment industry. He's one of the first cats that I connected with when I got here in Los Angeles, and just genuine hard worker. He's one of those people that make you go harder, and doing some exciting things. Been doing some exciting things, but we're gonna hear some more about his passion project. Mm-hmm. It's an amazing piece, and it keys into what he's keyed into the life. Without further ado, give it up for my man Dannon Green.
Thank you guys so much. I apologize for eating, but man, I'm starving. Hey, and your green room didn't have any food. How about that?
No. We got steak for you. Don't.
How you doing? It's good to see you again, brother.
Good to see you, man. Good to see you. We talked recently, but I had to get with him because he's doing some amazing things. First off, let everybody know where you hail from, Dannon.
Born in New York City, Manhattan. Lived in the first 7 years of my life in New York because everybody says I'm from Philly because I am, but I was born in New York. And then I wind up moving to Philadelphia when I was 7, and I grew up in Philly.
Awesome. So Philadelphia, coming up in Philly, did you always know you wanted to do entertainment, or?
No, I wanted to be a businessman. I wanted to be a remember the old Ebony, Jet magazines in Ebony?
Yes,
and there used to be a brother. They used to have the model with the beard, and I think he had a glass of Cavassier or something. He always looked real cool, and they had and that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be that cool brother with the beard and business. You know what I mean? So that's where it was at. Yeah.
We look. I was watching a throwback Soul Train joint, one of the things on YouTube when they sell the old story and the Johnson hair products, and man, we look so good and everything. I was talking to Big Les in one of the interviews, one of the Meet This, and talk about how good we look in the '90s. I want to talk about I want to get into a little bit about your passion project because that's different. Even though I do want to hear more about other things you got going on, but I know you've been working on this doc. You've been trying to get this doc done for a while, and then you did it. You directed, wrote it, the whole nine.
Yeah. So, can you hear that? Can you hear the TV?
No.
I know you got to edit. I was making sure, okay, because it's kind of loud. Go ahead.
Yeah. Now you're gonna see him jump around. He's like, "Yeah, I'm mentoring the youth. Get your butt. Yeah, I'm working with these youth." So, you got involved with boxing at a young age. What drew you into boxing?
Well, I always liked watching boxing. I used to watch it with my older sister. Two of my best friends in Philly, we used to slap box a lot. And they were a little shorter than me, but they always had quick hands and would tag me, you know what I mean? I'm like, damn, So one day, I'm walking down the street on the avenue in West Philly, and then I see them two walking. So we kind of meet at the intersect. They lived on 61st Street. I lived on Felton Street.
Okay.
So I was like, they had bags with them. I said, where are you guys going? They said, we're going to the boxing gym. 14, 13, 14.
They were already boxing.
Yeah.
And you ain't know.
I never knew. I said,
so quick.
Y'all box? Yeah. They're like, yeah, we've been boxing. But you got to remember, back in the day, kids, when you went to school with a kid, you went to school with him. And when you went home, his life was his life, and your house, you never, you didn't say what you did. I ran home immediately, asked my mom if I could box. She was like, nope. She told me I couldn't do it. And I lied. I said, well, Mom, I be having problems in the street. She was like, no, you can't box. So, okay. So she came back 2 days later and said, you can box, but I hope you get hurt. That's what she said to me. And that's how it all started. And then I wound up being the best out of all of them. They wound up quitting. I stayed. But I lost my mom at a young age. I lost my mom at 15. So I had to move out of Philly. So it took me away from the boxing game for almost 7, 8 years. Yeah. And then I wound up fighting again in college. Undergrad, I fought a little bit my junior, senior year in Iowa. And then when I went to Ohio State in grad school, I just for some reason, I stayed with the boxing for a while. And I ran off like 12, 13 straight wins. And then I wanted to go to gloves and do tournaments. And that's how it all started. That's how I got involved with boxing.
So what did you go to school for?
Okay, are you ready for this one? I am the first African American in the country ever to get an undergraduate degree and a master's in the field of computer animation.
You're lying.
I'm the first accepted at Ohio State ever.
Wait a second.
I went to the first school that offered it as an undergraduate in the country. Yeah, not lying.
Have you done anything with animation?
I did it for a year. I was with a guy in Ohio named Joe Daniels. We was in grad school together, and we started a business called Black Box Computer Graphics. And we started doing it, but I started doing comedy in 91. I graduated December of 90. I first met everyone on stage. I just went on stage as, to do it. And once I started doing comedy, I got bit by the bug. And I was like, you know what? I want to, do comedy. But then I was job hunting, and all my jobs that I was looking for were in California. So my brother, my late brother was living in LA. He was living in Long Beach. So he said, why don't you move out here? You're looking for work, So I moved down with him, and the rest is history. That's how I got to LA.
But you never lost the bug so you get to LA. You got to LA in the 90s?
92.
You came to LA in 92?
I came right before the riots, baby.
Right before the riots, and in the LA in the 90s, that was like Eddie Murphy's town. He was on
LA in the 90s, but downtown wasn't downtown. It was like Mad Max downtown.
Right, Skid Row. Right, the ultra Skid Row.
All downtown was fucked up.
Right.
Yeah.
So you get here in the 90s, you start doing comedy. How long did it take you before you got your first gigs? There's a lot of people, I talk to a lot of people in the industry and interview a lot of people, and some people are like, oh, I want to pursue this, I want to pursue that. They don't know all of what it takes when you have a passion for something. Most people think, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to write this book, I'm going to go on stage, I'm going to get this in, and think it happened. Now, thank God for the internet. A lot of the young people now who are they can jump right in. Platforms are set up. The only platform we had at one point in time was the stages. Stage was the platform.
Yeah, stage.
Nobody could text somebody or tape your show and send it to somebody.
Yeah, exactly. It took me, my game plan was when I came out here, we all think we're funny. And I had an experience at Mavericks Flat that brought me back down to earth when I went on there one night and bombed, and J. Anthony Brown talked about me for about an hour. I wanted to kill him, but I had to take. I don't know if you know about Mavericks Flat in the 90s, but it used to be the spot to be.
Well, I know how it is. I know how the old heads talk about it now. No offense to my old heads like Mavericks.
So I regrouped. I went back to the Comedy Act Theater, and I didn't go anywhere else but to the Comedy Act Theater because Michael Williams had given me a shot to host the MC. Michael Williams just took it to the like.
Yeah. And
I stayed there for 6 months, man. Didn't do nothing but comedy, worked on it, and then things started changing for me. But I didn't start getting recognized in LA as being funny and talented until Fat Tuesday with Guy Torrey and I. And Guy Torrey and I started Fat Tuesday. He was the brain trust. He came to me and said, Dan, I'm about to start a club. You want to be down with it? And me and Guy was used to be like this. I was like, yeah, big thieves, you know. And we started Fat Tuesday, and then what happened was, Guy was the main host for a year and a half. Then he just started doing movies and shit.
Movies and stuff, right.
So he left the club to me, and I hit the stride. You know what I mean? I was the host. I was the main guy, and from there it just took off.
There's nothing like hosting your own when you get a chance to host, especially if you love people. I tell people all the time, if you're doing entertainment, man, how do you get started in comedy? I said, first off, do you love people? Because you don't want to be that comic that gets older, even with fame, and you're bitter. Right. We ran across older comics we look up to, and they say one word, and you're like, man, my heart's kind of on the floor, but I think I'm gonna keep doing this comedy thing, man.
Right.
But so how did you keep your? Because you're another person that always seem to have the right personality, the right energy about you. What is it that keeps you lifted through the ups and downs, through just the staying the course? You know what I'm saying?
I had a game plan, Troy, when I came out. You know, I had a game plan, and my game plan was just to stay on stage when it first came out. I wasn't worrying about being an actor and all that type of stuff. Right. And then 2, I'm not a cliquish person. Now, it can help you, it can hurt you. If you get in the right cliques, and then the guy that you're hanging with becomes the man, he may pull you with you. But you're gambling with your career, to me, because now you're not being your own self. You're waiting to see if your man make it, you know, or vice versa. So I kind of stuck to myself, and I knew I had the talent, and I know I had the talent. So I just stuck to the game plan. I've always kept a job. So when you have a job, you're not leaving the show and then going to party like everybody else is doing. You leave the show and go to the crib because you know you gotta get your ass up in the morning.
Work in the morning.
You know what I mean? Because I believe that at a certain age in life, you don't supposed to have you can't have a roommate to depend on paying your rent and all that type of stuff. So I've had one roommate in my years out here, and I've been able to survive on my own. You know what I mean? But I kept the gig, and I just focused. I knew what I wanted to do. And a lot of people don't know a lot of people think they know what they want to do, but they don't know what they want to do. And if they know what they want to do, they don't know how to go about it and get it. And I understood the whole game because I watched everybody. You know what I mean? And I was watching how people moved and how they acted. And it takes you a little longer.
You came in the 90s, you got a chance to see. Man, people may not understand this, but you come in 92, so you talking about I can get timeline. So by 96, 97, everything's booming. You're doing your thing, you're rolling. You know what I'm saying? That's a time.
Martin Lawrence show, Eddie's show, you name it, every show, every black show. Guy has shows. You know, I was doing warm up for shows.
Right. It's just crazy all over the place. But the thing.
Yeah, Tyler, I told you I'm on the phone. Oh, I just want to make sure you're good. You gotta get your meds. You gotta take your meds, bro. All right, go.
This is the late night interaction. He told y'all he was mentoring. He was working. He's still working. We're gonna break it. I'm gonna let y'all know how this time.
Dirty tonight. Y'all getting it raw and dirty, man. Just believe me. Go ahead. So
Philadelphia Life. I put up a post with Philadelphia Life listening to Roots earlier. You had me listening to Roots.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I was saying this because you got a chance also to see how people went up, how they went down, and you got to see a lot of legends pass away.
Mm-hmm. Let me tell you something.
What to and what not to do.
I saw a guy.
Like I'm talking to my grandma. Hey, you're a piece of chicken right there. I'm down on the corner, right?
I had to eat. Look, I've seen guys go up that were mean and rude to people. I've seen those same guys coming down. And I've seen people pass. I've seen people blow up. But the main thing I did was I stayed the course. So I flowed. And I had a talk one time with Fishburne. This was really what helped me.
Laurence Fishburne?
Laurence Fishburne. I think it was 98, 99. It was before he did the first Matrix. Put it that way. And we were talking. And we were talking about people that we would see like in the business, he was telling me how guys you see him for 5 years have shows, then you don't see him no more. Right. And he told me something I never forgot. And this is why he said, look, my brother, I promise you everything I love. He said, you don't want to be hot for 5 years. You want to be warm for 25. And I never took that. So what I did, Troy, was I took those words and I said, each day, each week, each month, I want to make sure that I accomplish at least one thing towards my career. So if I had a good meeting in a week, I did it.
I need to have a damn. Wait a second.
if I had,
this will be all y'all, just watching on, YouTube and IGTV.
If I had, well, hell, I'm eating. You might as well write. If I have one thing go on in the month, I felt good, whether it was a show, a meeting, something. You know what I mean? And that's how I did it the whole time. Yep.
So you're going through that. You hitting. You're doing shows. You're doing your comedy. You're working, standing in front of people, and you have how many movie scripts have you written so far, or story? I should say sitcoms, scripts, movies.
I've written like 3 sitcoms before. Ideals. I've written five movies. Actually, this is my 6th right here that I wrote through the pandemic.
Y'all think it's a game. We doing this during the quarantine, y'all. 2020, May 2020. So y'all know what time it is during the pandemic. Me and Dannon was talking about how if you're still in the midst of this right now, if you got a purpose, if you're doing anything, this is the time to get your pen out. And like many writers, he said the same thing. Once you get started, you'd be surprised how far to go.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't, you wasted a great opportunity. I started writing in 99, and 98, 99. And I started because Bill Duke was one reason I started.
Right.
Bill Duke was the one who I was in that first boot camp acting class with Taraji, Shamar Moore, Chris Spencer, Anthony Anderson. I was in that first big boot camp he had did with all the hot upcoming black actors and actresses. And he said I remember one day he pointed to everybody. He said, "What do you do?" And everybody was saying what they did. Taraji, I'm an actress. Chris Spencer, I'm a comedian. Tyra Ben, I'm a producer. Shamar Moore was there. Lisa Ray was in the class. Everybody was saying what they did. Everybody did something different. And he said, see, the difference between you and me is that I'm an entrepreneur. I'm all of those things. He said, if you want to make it in Hollywood, you got to be more than just what you think you are, and you better own identity properties, intellectual properties. And that's when I started writing. And then I saw an article with Damon Wayans in Ebony Man, and he said, the most powerful thing you can have in Hollywood is pen. And I never stopped writing after that.
I love it. And these truths hold, these things hold, these values hold truth to this time. Okay.
Even more now.
Even more now than ever.
Because they want you to create, and you got to have things, you know what I mean? Because of the social media and the internet, you got to be a writer. You got to be able to create stuff. You know what I mean? So yeah.
We were talking about this earlier. You don't want to get that meeting and you're not prepared for one to have more than one. I remember I met Vince Manzi. He's my first contact in here. He was the guy at NBC, the must-see TV guy, Save the Cheerleader, Save the World. But he said, Troy, when you go into a meeting, have more than one treat. Because if I don't like this treatment, that's all you got. Our meeting is over.
Yeah.
So he's like, bring more than one thing. Bring all your stuff. Come with it. So
when I go to meetings, Troy, sorry to cut you off, I'll come with the guns loaded. So that they can't get me out of their face. I like that where the most they can do is say, okay, we're going to read everything and say yes or no. Don't have it where they keep sending you back. Well, people give you a synopsis. Well, where's the treatment? So then you go back and write the treatment. Oh, great. So what's the script? Then you got to go back and write the script. So that's time away from them. Then they say, oh, great. Who's your wish list? Then you got to go and research people to see who you might want to have. And so they they know all this shit, but they want you to do it all. Then they go, well, what's the budget? And so all of these things they want is to get you out of their face. So what I do is when I have a meeting, I have all of that. The script, the budget, the business plan, my wish list. So at the end of the day, the only thing they can say when I leave that office in 2 weeks is yes or no. That's what I do.
Well, let's jump into this. I wanna get on this point. So I'm gonna go back to Philly for a minute. You come up in Philly, and you're boxing, but like many of the places in the city, I'm from Baltimore. It's Mac Lewis in Baltimore. I think that's who it was, and B Moore, who was working with a lot of young people, and a lot of boxers, and the different boxing clubs. And you get with these guys, and you find that y'all have a squad. Y'all have a squad, and he's mentoring these young guys. And when did you first come up with the idea to say, hey, I want to tell this story about our boxing club and these guys that mentored us and trained us?
It's crazy. I started in Philly, but I moved when my mom died. But I was always involved with boxing, and every now and then I would talk to. Really, I didn't talk to any of the guys, but my other friends, so that we got involved in boxing. We're friends to this day. So 2 years ago, 2017, August, I go back to Philadelphia to do a comedy show. Okay? Mm-hmm. So when I go to the show, one of the fighters that I used to box with comes to my show. He's actually in the documentary. So I asked him, hey, man, how's Frank doing? Now, it was Frank Taylor and Marvin Tucci Gordon. And I knew Tucci had died. They were the two trainers. And I said, well, how's Frank doing? He said, oh, Frank is good. And I'm like, I'm like, is he still alive? Like, yeah, he's still alive, doing well. So can you get a number for me? So he gave me a number. So I wind up not calling him while I was in. Okay? Hold on 1 second. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I wound up not calling him while I was in Philly, right? Came home to LA, and I'm laying in bed. So I give him a call, see how you doing. So I call him in August, and we talk. We have a good talk. And something happened. All right, no problem. You good? Okay, I got you. Cool. Thank you. All right, be good, Tyler. So, sorry about that. So, he goes.
I was about to say, all right.
Yeah.
He was trying to get that lean. He was like, so what's that? You talking to a female? I'm like, come on, man.
So I asked him, how he was doing. We talked, we had a good talk and everything. But what happened was, what's up, Ralph? Yeah, close that. What happened was, I called him, and he said, hello. And I said, yes, it's Frank Taylor there. I ain't speak to this man over 30-something years. He goes, this is Frank Taylor. And I go, hey, Frank, this is Dannon Green. I used to box for you when I was a kid. And he said, Dannon Green. He said, Dannon Green, Felton Street, Southpaw, good fighter. Yeah, I remember you. And it almost made me cry, bro. It almost made me cry.
Because how many years have it been?
I promise you over 30. I promise you.
So how old was he when you called him? How old was he when you first called him? Probably in the 70s? No.
I think it's 81. I think it's 80 now, 81. So it was about 79. 80. He's in good shape. He's just on dialysis. Great mind, sharp, gets around the town, everything. So you saw the trailer. He was the guy in the trailer. You saw him, the older man.
Yes.
And when he did that, it touched me. So we talked about another half an hour. We talked for about an hour. And then we hung up. Then in November, I'm laying in bed. And I mean, it's going to sound corny, but I said, somebody's got to do this story. I said, somebody got to tell the story about this gym. I said, because when he dies, that whole history is gone. And when people think of the executioners out of Philly, they don't think about our gym. They think about Bernard Hopkins.
Yeah.
So I called him up and I said, Frank, I want to do the story about the execution. And he was like, wow. He said, I always thought there was a story there, but you know how it is in the city, Troy. People don't know where to go, where to start. You know what I mean?
Right.
And he said, I would love that to happen. I said, would you give me the rights to do the story? And he did. So I had, if you remember, I've had some good years commercial. You know what I mean?
Right.
I had some money saved up. I did a show, and I'm gonna tell you how God worked. I did a show for this guy, and the guy who I do the show for usually is the guy that takes me to the airport. Well, this particular time he couldn't do it, so he had his cousin take it. And at this particular show I did this time, they were recording the show and everything. You know what I mean? Shooting it. So I said to my man, when they was taking me to the airport, we stopped by a Starbucks. I said, hey, by the way, man, y'all have some nice equipment over there. Whose equipment is that? He said, that's mine. I go, that's yours? He go, yeah, I got it to help my cousins who were trying to go to film school. So I said, oh, no, man. So I said, well, look, man, I'm trying to, I write screenplays. He said, well, maybe, but he said, we're not really trying to do no screenplays. We don't have that kind of whatever. So I said, okay. So then when I came up with the idea to do the doc, I said to him, he has some of the equipment. So I called him and said, hey, look, would you like to go into business with me on this project? And he said, well, what is it going to cost me? And I told him what I could bring to the table, and I told him what I needed, and he called me back and said I could do that. And that's how I got my business. That's how I got my apartment. And bro, that was in December of 2017. I started writing it November of 2017 because I wrote it out first. You know what I mean? Before I even started shooting, I wrote the story out on 4x5 cards. And then I went to Philadelphia, and in January of 2018, the week of Super Bowl weekend was the first time I was out there, when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, actually. I had came back to LA that same day of Super Bowl. I was in Philly for a whole week, and that first week we interviewed 11 guys. And the rest is history, man.
So, all right, for those that don't know, the documentary is called The Executionists. Give them a brief synopsis before we get out of here. Give them a brief synopsis on this, because the film is actually in the Manhattan Film Festival coming up, right?
In the Manhattan Film Festival in August 28, 2020. We already won an award at the La Jolla Film Festival called the Impact Doc Awards. We won an award of recognition there. And we had also got into Docs Without Borders. We didn't win anything there, but that was out of Delaware, actually. So,
awesome. Well, give them a brief synopsis of what The Executionists is all about, so they know. I'm sure they hear a little bit of it, but give them the core.
This is the first documentary ever done about a boxing team. And what it is, it tells a story about these boxers that were phenomenal fighters. We had a record of 639 wins and 84 losses over 10 years. We had 6 guys invited to the Olympic trials, and we had 1 world champion. But everybody has a story, and they were all homegrown. They didn't come from other gyms and join us. Everybody that was at that gym came there 0-0. And I tell the story about what happened and what caused them to not make it, to get to the next level. And it's a phenomenal story. We got one interview from prison. Guy's been in jail for 37 years. We got one guy on death row. I couldn't even interview him. It's all kinds of stories that all intertwine because they all knew each other, and they knew each other as fighters, and they were kids, but now they're adults when I interviewed them. So I show pictures of them when they was younger, and then I show pictures, and then you see them when they was older. You know what I mean? And it's an hour and 35 minutes long, credit to credit, and I directed it, edited it, scored it, wrote it, narrated it.
How did it feel? Is this your first project that you did the whole, you got the chance to direct and actually?
I did a short before, but I did a short film before years ago. But a short is nothing like a feature.
Right.
And to score it is just some, is hard in itself, right. But I have a concept of how I do it, how I score. And two of my friends are producers. One's in Connecticut and one's in LA. And they both gave me music. So it was just like I had people really coming to bat for me. You know what I mean? But Troy, it's a phenomenal story. It's a phenomenal feat. I truly believe, man, it's one of the best boxing documentaries ever done. And now we have a publicist assigned to it. We actually have someone interested in possibly making a docuseries. So I'm using it as a kind of a pilot documentary now. Nice. If it doesn't go any further, it's good the way it is, but I have enough footage that if someone pays me, I can make it into a doc series. You know what I mean? But it's a phenomenal story.
And we happen to be in a good season now. You guys,
we talked about
interviews. Yeah, we talked about that, and I was just talking to Mike Birkenbein about that. But all right, before you get out of here, because
let's talk.
Well, I want to talk about the Executioners. What other projects are you? I know this is your baby because this is near and dear to your heart, but you're always working on something. Ideally, what would you like to be on that side of past the project being a feature film, docuseries, acclaim? What would you like to really do in the next 2 years?
I like to be like Spike Lee was when he was younger. Most of the films that I've written, I wrote a part for me in it, but I'm not the lead. So you won't even know that I'm the writer. You know what I mean? Because I took my ego out of it. But I got great film ideas. I got great scripts. And I know that's supposed to be, you're not being really objective when you're saying how great your shit is, but man,
you better believe in it.
Well, Troy, when you do, and you know this because you doing it. When you come up with a concept or an idea, and you see it in your mind, and then you write it, then you see it on screen, you know, like wow. And I'm a very imaginary type of person, so the concepts of my films have been really like you wouldn't believe that I would have written them probably. But like the one I'm writing right now is a drama, it's a dramedy really. It's got comedy in it, but it's really a drama. But it's a story. It's a heartfelt story. And so I see myself hopefully in the next year or two, writing, directing, acting in my films, and also, Tyler Perry type. You know what I mean? But I don't have to be the lead. I don't have to be the lead. I don't have to be, I just want to work. You know what I mean? And then still my stand-up. You know what I'm saying? Because I really enjoy people and I love entertainment. I love writing. I told you when we spoke earlier, I've been wanting to write this film for 7 years, over 7 years. One time I had all cue cards, 4x5 cards with the film written out, lost those. Started a new outline, started 20 pages. The pandemic comes. I said, you know what? I'm gonna write this thing through the pandemic. Look for the outline, couldn't find the outline. I just ripped up the 20 pages and went from the head. And there's no greater feeling as an artist to have an ideal and then see it come to fruition on paper and knowing that you got a chance. And when I did my doc, that's the high I get. You saw the trailer and it's like people trip. They're like, oh, this is hot. And I trip. I'm like, damn.
You like, it is hot. When you step back, most people don't realize it starts once you put it down on paper and make it plain. It's real. And everything else is just the further manifestation of it. Most people don't realize wars have been fought over blueprints. Countries have been torn down over blueprints because a blueprint in the right hands gets it done. So that's the biggest thing. You took your destiny into your own hands, which we talked about years ago when I was talking about doing a talk show and doing shows, and you was talking.
I did the show that time at the comedy club. Remember we used to have a little. So yeah, but you know what it is, Troy. And I tell anybody this: you gotta bet on yourself. You got to believe in yourself. The problem, and you're reasoning this because I've gone to people, man, that haven't helped me. People that I've been wanting to do business, and it's like, wow, I'm doing everything y'all said I should be doing. But that's why I said earlier, when you said, how did you stay focused when I first got there? I didn't get into no clicks because the people that you think may help you or want to help you may not be there for you. So you got to have your lane, and you got to stick in that lane, and you got to make sure you don't divert from anything that you're trying to do. Because what's going to happen is those same people that didn't want to help you at that time, you know better than me, they're going to be the same ones coming back around, talk about, Troy, hey, man, I like that concept, man. We should talk. Now you looking at them side-eyed, but you want to take advantage of them. Like, all right, come on.
Right, it's like the price has changed.
Yeah, the price in China has changed. But you know, man, because you can't, and I'm going to tell your audience this, you can't make it without somebody help. You need help.
I make it without somebody else.
But you can't come to the table empty-handed. That you can't do because the times are changing. They want to know what you're going to do. They're not going to give you like back in the day in the 90s when they would give you a holding deal. Give you 6 figures. You would chill around town all day because you got $100,000.
That's why I'm laughing when you said you came here in like 92, 93. I know you saw people living. Like, what is this? You're like, are these guys drug dealers? That boy been sitting on the same money, and then 5 years later, it's like, yo, what happened? It's like they never produced my job.
Yeah, they just had me at 200,000. So I'm just thankful that I stuck to my guns, and now it's coming. And I'm telling you, when you get a feature film done or a screenplay or something done, your conversation with people, and you're talking to different people that you wouldn't talk to before. You know what I mean? Now you ain't just talking to a comedy club owner. You're talking to a guy that might own a company. You know what I mean? And
that's right.
I'm talking to people now, bro, that are really like, guess what else you got? And the hook is that trailer. That trailer is a beast. Yeah. You saw it. It's a beast. And
you did the work. You did the work. You put in the work. I did the full and completed it. A lot of times people don't. You may pull the trigger but not complete it. But Danny,
I was close to that. I'm sorry, but I was close to that. Because
how did you push past that point?
Well,
or was it just the fact that everything wasn't lining up anymore? You couldn't get in touch with certain people, or?
Well, a couple of the guys that I really needed in it, I got them by the grace of God, because it was certain people I had to have in the doc for it to work, and I got all those fighters. But when you got your editor and you're in the house with your editor the first time, and you walk in and you go, and every wall is covered with notes and sections of your doc. You know what I mean? Because they entered all of the cue cards in the computer, printed it out, and had it on here. So my whole doc was on paper, and they had it all around the house, and you're like, ain't no way on earth this shit is gonna turn into a movie. Ain't no way. Bro, I can't lie to you. And I'm like, wow, but they just did it. And each week and month, it got less and less paper. And it was a trip, bro. To be going there that last time we was to get together and go. Ain't no papers on the wall. Wow. It was all there.
That's a serious system.
But they were just the first editor. They put it together. They wound up getting on another project. This is when I said it almost. So in January, I'm like, okay, is it done? But I was looking, I'm like, you know how you feel, the project ain't where it's supposed to be. Met this young white chick. Her name is Delana Wilkinson, young white girl, 22 years old. Got connected with her. She's an editor. My man. She's an editor. Bruh, this girl is one of the baddest editors I've ever met. With no ego. Your editor cannot have an ego. If your editor has an ego and you're saying, hey, can you take this out? And then they take it out for you, and then they got to go ahead and export it, the whole thing out again, and then which takes hours, and then you export it, and then you look at it and go, I need that back in there. You don't need no editor that's going to be like, yo, my man, you told me to take it out, man. Man, why don't you just leave? No. She was like, nah, I paid her.
Right.
Don't get a twist.
But that happens. You'll be sitting there and you're like, I think we should do this.
I'm sharing this with you, man, because I know what you're trying to do. I'm sharing it with you, and because I know what you're doing, and I know where you've been with your own projects, and you saw me. You saw me at the Starbucks that time when I was. Right. Now I'm into the paperwork of it. Right. People understand. Once you put the project together, you got all the legal shit to do. You got to make sure that all your music is cued and assessed for. You got to make sure that all your video and stuff is assessed for. You know what I mean? So, we lost. I think we lost you for a minute.
No, I'm here. That's the.
There you go. You know what I mean? And they make sure that you got to make sure you got everything together. You know what I'm saying?
That's the thing that people. That's why I wanted them to hear part of the process, but also what it took for you to just stay the course, and the fact that you built the foundation, you built your plan, and you followed through. Before we get out of here, because we could talk for hours. I want you to let people know how to get. I want you to let people know how to get in touch with you, and I know it's in the festivals now, so it may be a while before they can actually see the film. But also,
they can see the trailer now. People can see the trailer now.
Okay. So let people know how to get in touch with you.
Okay, well, if you want to get in touch with me, with Facebook is Dannon, Dannon, Dannon Green. Just my name, and then Instagram is Dannon Green 66. That's my Instagram. Same thing, Dannon Green GREN 66. And then I have an Instagram page set up now for the documentary, and it's called The THE Executionists with an S doc, DOC. And you can go there and follow us, and you can also look at the trailer. So so that's how you get in touch with me. And anybody out there that's really, have any questions, I'm willing to answer them. And if you're out there, you got some money, we got great projects. So, I probably won't look like this the next time you see me. I'll be clean and shaved and clean cut.
At least you can get at least you got the actual white, the urban claws look. You got the whole thing comes in nice.
And I ain't even that old, but I got great beard.
I was like, Dad, how old are you?
I ain't even that old. I just got a great beard. But you know what, man? Before I go, you let me go. I just want to say, man, that I'm very, very happy, man. I got this project done, man. This is an unbelievable project. I'm hoping that it opens doors for others. But if it doesn't, the main thing is I got it done. You know what I mean? And I think people, when they see it, they're going to really enjoy it.
Dannon Green. The project is called The Executionists. About a boxing club.
It's called The Executionists. We all had a chance. That's the full name.
We all had a chance. And I love the quote on there. It's easier to.
It's better to raise a boy. It's better to
Better to raise a boy than to mend a man.
Right. It's better to raise a boy than to mend a man.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Dannon Green, thank you, brother, for taking time out with me.
I want to thank you, people. Thank y'all for hanging with me with my dinner and everything else that was going on. But at least you got it. At least it's organic. Yeah. We're not in the studios right now, so it was all organic. But I know you want to find.
Love you, brother. I will definitely talk to you soon.
And let's talk. And I appreciate everything you're doing, man. And I appreciate your work too, brother. But that goes without saying with us.
Yeah. all day.
All right, Big Troy. Thank you guys so much.
Peace.